Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the first online dramatized reading of the autumn season at the Cervantes Theater. My name is Paula Paz, and I am the co-founder and associate director of the Cervantes Theater here in London. I want to start by thanking Acción Cultural Española, the Cervantes Institute, the Spanish government, and the Spanish Embassy in London for the support. You have just seen a dramatized reading of the play TENANT, 9 Numantia Street. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the first online dramatized reading of the autumn season at the Cervantes Theater. Problem here. My name is Paula Paz, and I am the co-founder. There, that should be it. Okay, I'll continue saying that you have seen the dramatized reading of this play, TENANT, 9 Numantia Street, by a Spanish playwright, Paco Gámez, in an English translation by Tim Gutteridge and performed by Sebastián Capitán. A dramatized reading is a step in between a reading and a production. And as you could see, the actor has the text in hand, and the purpose is that in a very short period of time, with only 2 days of rehearsals, we can share a play in translation so that you, the audience, can hear the words, better understand the story, and be able to imagine how a production of this play could look like. It is basically a quick taster that is also beneficial for playwrights, translators, and production companies of theaters. This evening, we have the pleasure of being able to talk with Paco Gámez, Tim Gutteridge, and Sebastián Capitán. So I will introduce them now and ask them a few questions, and then I'll open the floor so that you can also ask any question that you may have. You can send them over to us via the YouTube comment section or via Twitter or to our email address. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce you to Paco Gámez, the playwright of the play that you have just seen. Paco is a Spanish playwright, actor and director, and his plays include Katana, Las Ratas, Everlasting Love, Nana en el Tejado, which won the award for children's theater play in 2016, Autos, a road movie, and other plays like El Hombre en Llamas, which won the 2010 Dramatic Literature Award for the University of Seville. His play TENANT, 9 Numantia Street, was awarded the prestigious Calderón de la Barca Award in 2018 and was finalist for the Best New Author for the Max Awards 2020. The play premiered last season at the National Theatre of Spain, and he's currently preparing different projects. He'll talk about those later. But some of them are El Perro del Hortelano, that will premiere at the Gala Theatre in Washington later this year, and another play, Las Calatravas, to be premiered at Teatro de la Zarzuela in Madrid. He has also written a play that uses La Eneida for La Joven as a starting point that will be on at the Teatro Circo Price in Madrid as well. Welcome, Paco. Hola, Paco, y bienvenido.
Thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
It's a pleasure to have you here. Bienvenido.
It's also a pleasure for me. Thank you very much.
Good. I'll introduce you now to Tim Gutteridge. He's a Scottish translator who lives in Cádiz. He's the literary translator for Spanish into English, from Spanish into English, sorry, with a particular interest in theater. His translations for the stage include Jauría by Jordi Casanovas, Correspondence by Roberto Ossa, or The Swallow by Guillem Cloix, which we had the chance to do the production here at the Cervantes Theater a couple of years ago. His translation of Potosí, The Mountain That Eats Men by Ander Izaguirre, won an English PEN Award, and his translation of Crocodile Tears by Mercedes Rosende will be published by Bitter Lemon Press in 2021. Welcome, Tim. Hello, Tim.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes,
okay.
Welcome. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And finally, Sebastián Capitán Viveros. Sebastián is an actor whose recent work in film includes Spider-Man, Far From Home, the Warner Brothers and Marvel film. And for TV, he has filmed for the Halo TV series. In theater, he has recently worked in the West End playing the role of Oscar in Donmar Warehouse's 5-star production of Sweat by Lynn Nottage, directed by Lynette Linton, which transferred to the West End's Gielgud Theatre. Welcome, Sebastián, and well done.
Hola, hola. Thanks,
Hola,
guys.
bienvenido, welcome. Finally, we have with us Candela Gómez, which some of you may know her because she's an actress and a long-term collaborator of the Cervantes Theater. And she will give us a hand in case that she needs to help us with the translation because Paco will be speaking in Spanish sometimes in English, so Candela will be there to help us. I have to say also that Candela has done some of the voiceovers in this play that you have listened. So hello, Candela, and welcome too.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, hello.
Okay, so I am going to start by asking a few questions to all of you. Paco, first of all, congratulations for such a great play. That I know that
for the work, because it was amazing to see your work and Sebastián playing the role.
You didn't make it easy. At first, when Paula, she said, "Hey, we're gonna do a play reading, of this play, and would you want to do it?" Yes, of course. I read the text. I was like, "Wow, you sure? You sure this text?"
Yeah. It's a great challenge, but yeah, I think an amazing text. The first time that I read it, I have to say that I fell in love with the text, and I think that is very strong. And we have seen in Spain, no, Paco, that you have had a great success. First, when you wrote the play, no, with the Calderón de la Barca Award, and then secondly in the National Theater of Spain. So I wanted to, first of all, ask you how this play, how it was born, where the initial idea came from.
Well, the starting point is the reality, because I was living in a flat and I have that problem with my casero. I don't know.
Landlord.
Okay. So when it happens that to me, I decided to take notes. I didn't know what I was going to do with that material. I didn't know if I wanted to write poetry or whatever. And I have to leave my home. And that summer I started to make the playwriting of TENANT. And right today, 2 years ago, I won the prize. It was a play that I wanted to write for me as an actor, because all the plays that I had written before had nothing to do with my life, neither with my features as an actor. So I decided to do something easier for me, that it was me in a real situation, and only with one actor or two actors, or one actor and two actresses or something like that. And I had the luck that the National Theater in Spain was interested in doing the production. So for me, it was really surprising. And after that, it came the Max Awards this year. So I think that when all of this started, when I lost my home 3 years ago, I didn't expect at all that 3 years after I was going to see Sebastián acting as like me, watching this production with the pictures of my real street and in English. And it is very exciting for me, all what is happening connected with this play.
But you can really feel this in the text, how they say that the quote, necessity is the mother of invention, but you can really feel the honesty in the text, and in some scenes the vulnerability and the variety that has the text, and you can really feel it. And as Paula told me, that you did this, you played yourself, and that's not easy, so you can really feel that strength that you had within the text and you found within the story, and the commitment, which I think is why it's a powerful story. And especially also how everyone can relate right now to being homeless. We know we've all we're there in a sense, so yeah, it's a powerful story in that sense.
Yes, it is the first time that I see my writing, my words, and my life done by another person. And for me, it was very nice, because it wasn't shocking. It wasn't like, that's not me. It was me, but not me. And the words of my mother in an English actress, and something that it is very Spaniard, or something very connected with our culture, connected with the British world. It was very, very nice for me.
That's a question that I wanted to ask you because Candela knows it as well, and Tim, that we've worked together before, that here at the Cervantes Theater, because we do them in different languages, it's always a very special experience to see, in this particular case, to see that you have performed this play and it comes from a very personal place, performed in a different language and with a different actor, as you were saying. And it's always great to hear, your feedback or how you are feeling about it, because it's something that I think is unique to the Cervantes Theater, and sometimes having the same production in two different languages has the same effect.
It is very nice, and I also studied English language and literature in the university, and I have studied English since I was a child, even when I hated it when I was 8 years old. So watching this reading is like connecting many elements of my life.
That's great. Thank you. I wanted to ask Tim now, how did you come across Paco's work, and why did you choose to translate this particular play?
This play was one that actually came to me last year. I was invited to attend there's a theatre festival, theatre book fair or festival in Madrid every year, and they organize a kind of a get-together, an encuentro of where they get translators and playwrights and put them in touch, basically. And last summer, I got sent about 100 plays, and I was asked to whittle them down to a list of which plays was I interested in, which authors did I want to meet, and so on. And so Paco's was, in fact, I think if I remember rightly, I think most people, there were 4 or 5 different translators, and everyone came up with their different lists, and there wasn't a lot of overlap. People chose different things. I chose the best things, of course. But if I remember right, I think Paco was on everyone's list, so we all had to meet him together. So that was how it was. It was organized by the SCAI, which is the Sociedad General de Autores y Editores, whatever. So it was through that, really. But I've had a whole lot of plays from that, and this one actually I worked through in lockdown. I ran out of work, and then I thought, well, I've got this on the back burner, and picked it up.
Mm-hmm. Perfect, thank you. And I wanted to ask Paco now about kind of going back to your creative process in general for the different plays that you've written. What is normally your starting point in the creative process?
Well, I think that each play that I have written has a different process. Maybe I always start with images or photos or things that are stuck in my mind. Like, for example, here, the pigeon in the street or the dog in the window. There are things that they are connected to my mind more than the linear story of the plot of the play. In this case, it was very particular because I took notes and I took pictures of everything, and the things that I thought that they had invented in the process, for example, the dog. Mm-hmm. I thought that it was an invention, a literary image. Yes. And when I was editing the book, I was looking for the pictures to introduce them in the publication, and I found the dog in the second floor, the things that they have explained.
It's subconscious.
Yeah, in the unconsciousness, they were there. So in this, I started writing this play when a year after the event, because it was very moving for me. So I needed some distance to tell the story. And in this case, I think it is very connected with autofiction, like the writing of Sergio Blanco, for example, or Lola Arias. But I wrote it before knowing their work or reading them as autofictional work. Yeah. So, and in this play, for example, there are many things that they are connected with unconsciousness. Sometimes I write when I'm sleeping, I wake up and I take notes. For example, here the image of Viridiana of Buñuel becomes like something that is not connected directly with the story. I don't know if I answered your question or
yes. Thank you. And now, Sebastián, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. First of all, one that is not related to this play, but is related to your experience here in London. Because you came here to London to study, and I want to know, you know, that kind of journey about training here in London, and then finding yourself acting in a West End theater, in a West End show. How was your experience?
Well, I think it goes with what we just said now, how necessity is the mother of invention, you know. So I've always wanted to be an actor, and living in Mexico, America, and Switzerland, I came to London because here I was told was the, you know, one of the hearts of the thespian world and theater, and it obviously is. So I came here to drama school and drama center London. It really changed my life. You know, it really taught me what it is to be an actor, what it is to be an artist, how to really you know, understand a text, how to create a character, and this whole world. And yeah, that was my experience through the drama school. And basically ever since 2016, just you know, out in the industry and just battling and just climbing the ladder steadily. And as an artist, as an actor, we all know it's how much, you know, we give, how much energy you give, and really committing. And as an artist, you know, you need to commit. You know, you need to give 100%. You need to have more discipline than anyone with a 9-to-5 job. So really, that's my journey. And you know, I don't really believe in luck. I believe in preparation and opportunity. You know, so.
Good, thank you. And now to this play. What were your initial thoughts when you first read the play, and the themes that are closer to you?
Well, when I first read the play, like I said, it was, you know, I was like, wow, I'm gonna read this, you know, not memorize it into the camera. So first I thought, like, you know, red alarms, alarm, difficult. But then, you know, getting to know the text and working with you, Paula, you really, you know, you made it a lot easier. You know, it's very, it changes everything working with a good team and a positive team and in an understanding spirit, and, you know, people that care about the work. And the important thing is the work. You know, obviously in these times, we know we can make something flashy and something, you know, the best action scene of all time, but, you know, something that reaches a heart can be very pure. You know, sometimes something like a pigeon, it reaches your heart more than you know, a song from Mozart. You never know. But so yeah, and working with you and discovering the text, that made me feel a lot better, a lot more secure, and also just the enjoyment and just the pleasure to be able to be back with the fellow artists and collaborating and just to, you know, leave the whole quarantine and state and just to get back on our feet and, you know, and create. It was so fun, and just to stand in a theater with the spotlights, it reminded me of the good old days in the West End, you know, with 1,000 people, you know, just on the brink of a cigarette listening to me, you know. But yeah, it was fun.
No, that's exactly what I feel as well. That it was a pleasure, you know, to work with you, to come back after a long. I think that for all artists or creative people in general, this period in which suddenly everything stopped, all the theaters closed, having the chance to come back in a different way, as we are doing now, but yes, just together to be creative. We had a lot of fun. It was only 2 days rehearsal and a day of shooting, so it was a very, very fast-paced kind of environment, but it was, yeah, lovely to be able to work in this fantastic play, and yes, yeah, I agree 100% with what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think it was a good idea. It's a good risk as a theater, as Cervantes Theater, to film a dramatized reading. You know, to film the reading, because, you know, nowadays lots of people that, you know, you do a play on Zoom, but it's gone. You know, so it was also a big risk. You know, 2 days rehearsal and to do it all in one day, and yeah, we gave it everything, and, you know, and thanks to the good work of you know, Camela, Candela, and Tim, and Paco, and Liam, and Jorge, and Paula, and everyone, we pulled it off, and yeah.
Yes. Now coming back to Tim, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the translation and the process. So can you tell us a little bit about the translation process, particularly for this play, and if there were any challenges or any things that, that specifically had to look in a different way for this play?
Yeah, okay. I mean, the big challenge for this play is that it is basically a monologue. And I know there are other voices in there, but fundamentally it's a monologue. So normally when you translate, obviously you've got a dialogue and there's a kind of dynamic that goes on. Different characters have different voices. And it feels a lot, often when you're translating drama, normally a lot of decisions get made for you, or you make one decision and it sort of ripples through. So it doesn't, you know, I don't normally have that feeling of solving problems. It often feels kind of as if there's one path to take. And with this, because you don't have, it's dynamic in other ways, but because there's not a dynamic dialogue going on through it, that's the challenge. So it means that you're, it's, you know, and then it sort of mixes kind of registers, and it's poetic at times and more colloquial at other points. But I think that's, you know, that's the issue, is kind of where do you get the energy from? Mm-hmm. I had an advantage, which is that I had actually seen Paco performing in it in Madrid in January. It feels like another world. I thought of going to Madrid, but it was January, I think, and I went and saw it and we met up. So I did have that in my head before I started translating. That having been said, I think once you translate almost whatever it is, you get into it and you have a performance going on in your head. You know, I say in this case, I had a performance going on in my head, and it was Paco. Paco was inside my head. Normally that doesn't happen. Normally I've just got the words on the page, but they happen inside your head. So, yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you. And now coming back, I mean, to Paco, but to everyone else, I want to talk about some of the themes of the play. And I think there is a theme that it's quite prominent, that is what is happening, no, to a whole generation regarding what was promised in a way to us, or what we thought that the future will be in terms of the security, stability, the economy and the environment, the social environment that there was in a moment, and suddenly how we are having to face a crisis after another crisis after another crisis, and it's like that future, that promised future, is slipping away. So I wanted to have kind of a quick round and hear your thoughts about this. First, Paco, if you can tell us a bit more about why you wanted to write about this issue.
Yes, I wanted to talk about it because I was completely affected by that situation. And I think that now in Spain, it is the first generation that we are going to live worse than our parents did. My father has 2 cars and I have none, and I can't have one because I can't pay a parking place here in Madrid, for example. Or at the end of that story, I'm living in a flat because my parents helped me to continue making a living. But I think that it is very difficult. And as a playwright, I wanted to talk about economy. It is something that I didn't pay attention enough. And I thought that art and economy can go in the same pack. And I think that it was very interesting to talk about economy, about money, about I have the money that we are talking in the play. It is not a big amount of money. It is like 400 euros, 400 euros. Mm-hmm. It is a very cheap flat, but I was living there and I couldn't pay more. So I think that it was talking about precariedad. Did you say precarity, or I don't know?
Precarity.
Okay. In a generation of people who have studied, who have prepared with several degrees. And I grew up with Expo 92 and with Barcelona. And it was like a moment that we thought that we were going to be in the top of Europe. we are not. We are not going to be. Not now, neither later. So yeah. I wanted to think in a play about that.
Mm-hmm. Sebastián and Tim, what do you think about it?
But, you know, I think that art is, that's what art is created for, you know, in theater and poetry, music, everything is the mirror, you know, to nature. Mm-hmm. And especially in this time, that's what we have to do, keep creating, you know, things that are close to our hearts and things that we think can make a difference, you know, because that's as artists, that's our job. to tell stories and to inspire people, and that's what we should be doing, especially in this time, and especially and with something to do that is so vulnerable. When I read the script the first time, I remember I asked Paula, I was like, why is it did you change the dates? Because it says here that Mr. Alcaraz is gonna kick the guy out until he has until September. And I was thinking, my landlord said this, you have until September. If you don't pay all full rent again, ciao. So I was like, no, Paula, you asked them to change that. No, and she's like, no, it's coincidence. So, even those small coincidences, they say a lot. The stars are aligned. But yeah, I think in these times, the most important thing is to keep creating, to keep in the hub, and to keep telling stories.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would add to that, I think there's this whole sort of the precariousness and the situation, and it's often put forward as a sort of millennials issue, and it feels that it's become much more universal than that. I think partly because of the whole situation with COVID, and it's just made us aware that in a way we're all in precarious situations. So in a way, those stories that were, oh, this is what's happening to a particular generation, people in their 20s, 30s, whatever, actually now there's a sense in which we're all of us, or a lot of us, is far more general than we were sort of always led to think. Certainly translating, a couple of funny things happened to me. The first thing is that when I was translating it, the play itself is very claustrophobic. It's him in this flat, isn't it? And it's a very claustrophobic play. And I was translating it under lockdown when we were in sort of Spain was doing its kind of hard lockdown, or we've got the hardest lockdown in Europe kind of thing. And I was in this little flat translating it, and it suddenly felt, although that wasn't what it was about, that felt like a real point of connection. The other thing that happened was I think I was revising the play in July, and I got a letter from my landlord telling me that they weren't going to renew my contract. I was like, fuck it is. Sort of, what I do is send back a letter. I'm not a playwright. I'm a translator. I can't do anything with your eviction. So please, please don't evict me. You're wasting a good eviction on me. In the end, it has a happy ending. I signed a new contract today. But I think it's something that is not just about people in their 20s, 30s, whatever. But in a way, we're all caught in this situation now, or most of us. Maybe not Paco's dad, he's got 2 cars. But
no, but you're right. I think that, yeah, that maybe it's not just one generation, but it's kind of expanding into more than one generation. And also it's something that is universal, and that is something that really attracted me to this play when I read it, and when we chose it here at the Cervantes Theater, is that it's not a play that feels Spanish in a way. Yes, it has the street, it's set there in Spain, but it's a problem that happens here in London, in many different cities around the world, many different countries around the world. So it's something that the audience can, I think, and we'll see later on in the Q&A with the audience, but that they can relate very easily, and that feels relevant, and yeah.
When I got out of the theater in the National Theater here in Maria Guerrero in Madrid, every day I had people waiting to tell me their stories with their rents, and they said I have the same problem, and many friends are writing me, I'm living what you lived in Quilino, in TENANT, and it's like I'm like the spokesman of that cause now.
And the heavy metal twins and all those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like another pandemic in a way, no? That everyone is having. There is not a sense of, what you were saying, of home rather than house, and everyone is having to move from flat to flat.
One of the people who work with me in the production, the one that the Pelde, that is a writer who composed the music for the play, when the pandemic stuff started, he said, have you thought that this is something karmic, like a karmic effect of your play? Because now you have to be in your home and you cannot get out after saying that you don't want to move there. And it was like, oh.
He's translating it, and he got a letter from his landlord. Watch out. Watch out. So, I was gonna say I had another moment of when about house and home. I was listening to the song "Ain't No Sunshine When She's Gone," and this house just ain't no home. I was like, that's Paco.
Yeah. Okay, good. I think now it's a good moment to open the floor to questions from the audience. So I'm going to ask the audience to just write any questions that you may have. You'll find, if you click on the YouTube link, you'll see that there is a box on the right-hand side, and you'll be able to write your questions there. And yes, we can answer them. Also, if you want to post them on Twitter or drop us an email, we'll be able to answer them now live. So I'm just gonna check if there is any questions. There are any questions?
Oh, yeah, flooding, millions. All my fans, guys. Sorry, all my fans are coming. All right. I'll tell my mom to ask me. I'll tell my mom.
Okay, there is a question here. ¿Habéis tenido que pensar en términos de cine a la hora de plantear, la obra para ser retransmitida online, tanto para grabarla, dirigirla, como a la hora de interpretarla? ¿Cómo de diferente ha sido una lectura convencional at Cervantes Theater? Basically, if we had to think about in a different way because of the format that this dramatized reading had, in terms of filming it or acting it from a different point of view. I will say yes, because when directing this dramatized reading, obviously it was you had to have in mind that it was going to be filmed. I think that the play, I didn't have the chance to see Paco's production at the National Theater of Spain, but I have the feeling that the play is very dynamic. It has a lot of movement. So from the director's point of view, you get that the use of space is very important. The way that it flows with a camera, you cannot do that. You cannot follow the actor all the time. So suddenly you have to look at it from another perspective, which was in my case, the days, and really compartment every single scene, treat it like a whole universe, and trying to recreate that with the light. And yes, I don't know if you want to add.
It changes everything, filming a play, because when you film a play, it would almost never will give it justice. It's very difficult, especially a real play. It's very difficult. But also in the theater, we had so many lights, so we did find a lot of complications. I think with trying to discover where to put the camera and the actors, how to stand, to not get in the way of the the shadows and the camera. So especially in a small space, it's very difficult. But you adapt, and knowing that we're gonna film it, you have to adapt.
Yeah, it's kind of finding this hybrid, version, which is exciting, and I think that is what we are presenting now. It's not a dramatized reading, so to speak, in a theater that you sit down and you put on the lights, and it's not a film, so it has a language from both worlds, I will say. Okay, I don't know if there are other questions in our.
My mom has a question, actually.
Okay.
Después COVID piensan llevar la obra al Teatro Cervantes.
Okay, that's a good question. If this is a play that we want to bring to the Cervantes Theater, I think that this is I would say yes, 100%. This is a play that we liked a lot, and we were speaking with Paco, about the possibility, because the way that we do the work here, as I mentioned before, is in both languages. So having a Spanish version with Paco coming over, and then having the English version. Now with the current situation, we had to change the way we do things, because we cannot open the theater to a live audience. And these dramatized readings are a good opportunity to test the play in front of an audience, even if it's through a screen, through online. And definitely, I think that this is a play that we want to do in the future when we are able to reopen again and to have a live audience here in the theater.
Yeah, a lot of frustration sometimes not being able to do it without learning it. You know, it's not easy.
It always happens with the dramatized readings that because you start working on it, then you want to rehearse rather than for 2 days, for 4 weeks, and doing the full production. And rather than having the dramatized reading one day, just having a whole run. Yes, it's always like, we want to do more, but it's the way it is. But it's a great first step. And I guess as well, for the translation, I don't know for you, Tim, what was your experience now hearing the translation for the first time and being able also to watch the performance, if it changed something, if there were thoughts that came to your mind about the translation, because sometimes what happens is that it's a great moment to actually hear that and maybe develop the translation or change things.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, no, I don't think I wasn't sort of, I had the script in front of me, but I haven't been making notes on things I would want to change. I partly it's just that it's really nice when you just to see it being performed. I thought the performance was great, and I also I loved the way it was a bit between, because you filmed it and so on, it's more produced than a dramatized reading would normally be. So there's something kind of magical about that, to be honest. Maybe I'll go and look at it again and start thinking about tweaking. But no, I think there's just that thing of it bringing something to life that in a way has already happened in your head. And with this one, I've seen Paco doing it. I've done it in my head, if you like. And this is now a third version of it in a way. So yeah, no, I'm not in a hurry to rush off and change things. I really liked it. I might at some point go and have a little look at it and see with.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that the translation was absolutely fabulous, and even Sebastián and myself were discussing this before we started rehearsals. That is such a pleasure. I mean, translation, it's a whole territory, and for plays especially, that is a completely different beast, I think. And your translations are yeah, I have to say that it's a real pleasure working with your translations, because they flow and yeah, they are wonderful.
We had some moments, that in rehearsal, trying to, with the text and everything, and we were seeing how, you were changing things that would make sense in Spain to make sense in English in England. And also, and then in one moment, I had this complication with his word, and I got the Paco curse, and it was irremediable. Suddenly we couldn't find out. I was like, Paula, is that a word? No. We have to call Tim Gutteridge. That's not a word. I was like, Google, how do you pronounce it? Irremediable. I was like, what? That was very, but.
Okay, there is a question here. Bringing Spanish theater translated into English is pretty amazing. Congratulations. Is something you see happening more in theater in the future? I don't know. Anyone wants to? I mean, here at the Cervantes Theater, I think it's what is at the core of what we do. Our aim as a charity and as a theater, the first bilingual theater here in the UK, is to bring the best Spanish and Latin American theater in both languages. So the fact that we are able to bring translations, commission translations as well, and do them in both languages is something that we are going to continue doing, and hopefully, in different countries. And something that I have to say that have proven these events that we've done online, and the fact that we can reach more people around the world. I think that it's an opportunity, and it's great. And hopefully I know that in other countries there are companies, for example in New York, doing bilingual theater as well. But hopefully, more theaters will do the same.
You can do it. It opens the horizon. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I mean, the only thing I was going to say, I think the barrier to it really is getting people to put on the to produce the plays. There's fantastic playwriting in Spain. Certainly, I'm sure there is in Latin America too, but I'm talking from my experience. There are, I could think of 10, 15 plays that I've seen, scripts I've seen in the last year or two that are just amazing. There's actually no shortage of I've got a stash load of translations, and I know lots of other people do as well. There's no problem with the sort of the source material. There's not even a problem with the translation. The barrier is getting theatres to produce things. Obviously, now it's a bit hypothetical anyway, but even before, it's an issue, and there are cultural barriers and things that hopefully, if we keep chipping away at it, people will realize there's great stuff out there that has something different to offer.
Yes, I think that you're right. I think there is something else as well, that are artistic directors of some theaters, that they don't have direct access to these translations or to the work, or maybe they are interested in general, as they say, European theater, but they either don't have the people or the staff at the theater to be able to read many international plays, or that's what we've encountered here. And I think that here from the Cervantes Theater, also being able to kind of champion Spanish playwrights and being able to speak with other directors that may not be aware, production companies or artistic directors of other theaters, in order to encourage them to read more Spanish playwrights and consider them to program them. It's a push. Now everyone is kind of pushing now from many different angles, and hopefully, because there is a great variety and range of work and talent that needs to be seen.
That's what I was saying, that it's just about telling the story, and it just takes one person to read this play, translate this, and then you discover the whole well of every continent has incredible plays, and it's 100% just telling it and then getting it out there.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know if there are if there are any other questions there. No. Okay. So I think that's it. I don't know. I'll do a quick round before we finish, so that you can tell us a little bit about the projects that you're working on at the moment, or that you have coming up. And yes, so Paco, do you want to tell us a bit about the works that you're doing?
Right now, I'm writing the play that you told about, connected with Eneida by Virgilio. Mm-hmm. And that is a great play because it is going to be in a circus. So I have to write for actors, for acrobats,
yes.
Okay. And also there is going to be a lot of music, and that play is going to be connected with the foundation of Europe and the idea of the Mediterranean Sea as an old Europe that is being lost now, and the Spanish and the Italian and the Portuguese culture as the formation of Europe. So I'm with that, and with another play that I'm writing about migration. It is connected with a granddad, the País Vasco, the Basque Country theaters. So I'm writing that, and I don't know if there is going to be a production of that. By now, I'm writing.
Okay, Sebastián.
I'm, just the same thing, auditioning a lot, trying to advance human being as an artist and everything. And yeah, I'm writing a play at the moment, trying to finish that. So I need to get in touch with the Paco Necessity Inspiration, and yeah, a day at a time.
Good. Tim?
I'm, in terms of translation just now, I'm actually working on a play by a playwright called Paula Paz, which is in Spanish, it's La Boda de sus Muertos, which I've translated as a wedding to die for. It's very surreal. It's great. It's a great piece of theatre. It's sort of buzzing with energy. It's bizarre, sort of family, kind of dark comedy. Again, quite hard to translate in a funny way precisely because it's surreal. So you often think, what does this mean? And you think, who knows? Sorry?
Who wrote this?
Pablo Canosales.
Okay, right. Okay.
And the other thing I've got out there just now is Jauría, which is the Jordi Casanovas play about the Manada case, so the gang rape case that hit the news 3 years ago. I think it was 2016, and that had a reading a couple of weeks ago in Chicago. But I mean, it's been a massive success in Spain. But that's just it seems to me a really obvious play that, you know, we were talking about getting Spanish drama into, you know, sort of onto the stage in the UK or the States or whatever. That seems to me a very obvious kind of candidate. This great piece of theatre, but it's also, you know, it's about an issue. It's about sort of gender violence and so on. It's something that ought to be accessible. So those are my projects just now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, thank you very much, Paco, Tim, Sebastián, Candela as well. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And I also want to thank Acción Cultural Española again, the Cervantes Institute, the Spanish government, and the Spanish Embassy in London for their support. And also a big thank you to everyone for being here today. And I look forward to seeing you all next Thursday. We have next Thursday our next dramatized reading, which is called Joe Strummer Takes a Walk by Juan Alberto Salvatierra, translated by Lauren Finch. Well, thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. Have a lovely evening and see you next week.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
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 Bye, guys.